We thank Ambassador Chen for her courage in standing before us today. Voxful continues, the crystalline being's voice resonating through the vast chamber. It is not often that we invite a species with such complicated standing in galactic history. Elena maintained her composure despite the tension radiating from every corner of the chamber. She notices how some delegations have positioned protective barriers between themselves and the central platform where she stands. Others watch with what she can only interpret as morbid fascination. I am honored to represent humanity before this esteemed council. Elena begins, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Though I must admit, your reception is not what I expected. We believed first contact would be characterized by scientific exchange and cultural celebration. Not, whatever this is, a ripple of what might be laughter, or perhaps nervous tension, passes through several delegations. A being composed entirely of swirling gases contained within a transparent exoskeleton leans forward from the third tier. Ambassador, you speak as though this is first contact. The entity says, its words translated through the chamber's sophisticated systems. Yet your kind has been appearing across our worlds for millennia. Were you not aware? Elena feels a chill run down her spine. I assure you, official records on Earth indicate no previous contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. We believed ourselves alone until 20 years ago, when we detected your communication networks. The Grand Arbiter's crystalline form shifts, creating a cascade of prismatic light. Fascinating. They truly do not remember. Remember what? Elena asks, fighting to maintain diplomatic protocol despite her growing unease. From the highest tier, a massive being shifts forward, its 8 eyes blinking in sequence. The human species has been quarantined not for their protection, but for ours. The containment directive of the 87th Galactic Standard Cycle was quite clear. Humans were to be observed, but never engaged until they achieved independent faster-than-light travel. Kill. Elena's Arcturian liaison steps forward despite protocol. Grand Arbiter, perhaps we should proceed with the historical briefing. The ambassador deserves to understand. Voxful considers this, light pulsing through its crystalline body in patterns that suggest deep thought. Agreed. Council historian Zulktur will present the evidence. As the ancient historian shuffles toward the central platform, Elena notices something strange. Despite the obvious fear many representatives display, there's something else in their manner. A reluctant reverence, as though they're in the presence of something both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Ambassador Chen, Voxful says quietly as the historian prepares, what you are about to learn will challenge everything you believe about your species. It may be distressing. Elena straightens her shoulders, diplomatic training kicking in. With respect, Grand Arbiter, humanity has faced distressing truths before. We're more resilient than you might think. The crystalline being makes a sound that might be a laugh. That resilience, Ambassador, is precisely what terrifies us. As the chamber darkens and holographic projections begin to materialize around her, Elena realizes she stands at a pivotal moment in human history, one that paradoxically may have occurred many times before. Whatever these beings know about humanity, it's clearly more than humans know about themselves. The first images appear, ancient cave paintings from a world 12 light-years from Earth, depicting unmistakably human figures surrounded by symbols of both reverence and mourning. The date stamp indicates they were created 9,000 years ago. Elena's diplomatic mask slips for just a moment as the implications begin to dawn on her. That's impossible, she whispers, but deep within, something ancient and buried begins to stir, like a memory she never knew she had. I understand your skepticism, Ambassador Chen, Zulktur says, his translator converting the rapid clicks into smooth speech. But the evidence continues beyond mere pictographic similarities. The ancient historian manipulates the holographic controls with practiced precision. The chamber's display shifts to show an array of artifacts spanning thousands of years and dozens of worlds. These are cultural transmission patterns, Zulktur explains, indicating flowing lines connecting various civilizations. As you can see, there is no contact between the Procyon and Ta Siti systems during this period, yet both developed nearly identical warning symbols associated with human-like figures. Elena studies the patterns, her diplomatic training helping her maintain composure despite the implications. Could this be explained by some common ancestral species that encountered early humans on Earth and then spread these stories? A ripple of what might be approval passes through several delegations at her analytical approach. A reasonable hypothesis, Zulktur acknowledges, but one we have thoroughly investigated and dismissed. He gestures, and the display changes to show a complex temporal map. These encounters occur across vastly different time periods, with no pattern consistent with cultural transmission. Additionally, many of these civilizations have no common ancestors within the time frame required. A delegate from a methane-based species leans forward, the environmental suit containing their liquid form gleaming under the chamber lights. Historian, share the sentinel tablets. The human should see them. Zulktur's exoskeleton shivers slightly, a sign of hesitation. Elena suspects. The sentinel tablets are classified under Protocol 9. Override granted. The Grand Arbiter interjects, crystalline form shimmering with internal light. The human presence here already violates multiple protocols. We may as well be thorough. Zulktur inputs a complex sequence, and the holographic display shifts again. This time, it shows stone tablets covered in an elegant flowing script that somehow feels familiar to Elena despite its alien nature. These were recovered from the ruins of the Sentinel civilization, who vanished approximately 30,000 years ago. Zulktur explains, they were among the most advanced species of their era, with technology approaching our current capabilities. The tablets rotate slowly in the display as Zulktur continues. Their final records describe a phenomenon they called the human convergence. According to their scientists, humans existed simultaneously in multiple temporal states, past, present, and future overlapping in ways that defied their understanding of physics. Elena leans forward, drawn to one tablet in particular. What does this section say? She asks, pointing to a passage that seems to pulse slightly in her vision. Zulktur magnifies the section. This passage has been particularly difficult to translate. The closest approximation reads, "They cast shadows backwards through time. What they will become has already shaped what we are. The circle cannot be broken, only understood." A murmur passes through the chamber as Elena studies the tablet. For a moment, she experiences a strange double vision, as if she can almost read the alien script herself. The Sentinel's final prediction, Zulktur continues, stated that when humans finally joined the galactic community, it would mark the beginning of the Great Remembering. They claimed that understanding humanity's true nature was essential for the survival of all conscious life. Elena feels a strange resonance within her mind as she stares at the ancient warning. For a heartbeat, unbidden images flash through her consciousness, stars dying, civilizations falling, and through it all, human figures working desperately to change something fundamental about reality itself. Ambassador. Zulktur inquires, noticing her distraction. Elena blinks, the moment passing. "I'm fine," she assures him, though she's not entirely convinced herself. "Please continue." "There is one final piece of evidence I must share," Zulktur says, manipulating the controls once more. "One that even most council members have never seen. These cellular structures," Meridia continues, her gaseous form swirling more rapidly within her containment suit, "shouldn't be possible according to conventional evolutionary theory. Human DNA appears to have been augmented." Elena watches as the holographic display zooms in on a strand of human DNA, highlighting specific sequences that pulse with an unnatural rhythm. "Augmented by whom?" she asks, voicing the question that hangs heavy in the chamber. "That remains unknown," Meridia admits, "but what we do know is equally troubling. These sequences appear designed to activate under specific cosmic conditions." A delegate from a silicon-based species interrupts. Explain these activation parameters, Science Director. Meridia gestures with a graceful tendril of vapor, and the display shifts to show a complex series of astronomical alignments. These dormant sequences in human DNA respond to specific stellar configurations, cosmic radiation patterns, and quantum resonance frequencies. Many of these conditions have not occurred within the lifespan of humanity on Earth. Are you suggesting these sequences were designed to activate in our future? Elena asks, struggling to process the implications. Or perhaps, Meridia counters, they were designed to activate now, at this precise moment in cosmic history, when humanity has achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the galactic community. As if responding to Meridia's words, the DNA strand in the display pulses more intensely. Elena feels a strange tingling at the base of her skull, a sensation she's never experienced before. There's more, Meridia continues, seemingly oblivious to Elena's discomfort. When we analyzed human brain structure, we discovered neural pathways specifically designed to process information that humans have never encountered. At least not in your recorded history. The display shifts to show a human brain, with certain regions highlighted in pulsing blue light. These areas activate when exposed to specific types of cosmic background radiation. In essence, parts of the human brain are tuned to receive signals that your species should have no evolutionary reason to detect. Elena's head throbs with a sudden pressure. She reaches out to steady herself against the speaker's podium. And as her fingers touch the alien material, something extraordinary happens. The holographic display flickers, then stabilizes into a new configuration that neither Meridia nor anyone else had input. The chamber falls silent as ancient star charts appear, showing celestial configurations that no one recognizes. Symbols flow across the display, mathematical equations of staggering complexity. "I didn't do that," Elena whispers, but even as she speaks, she realizes it's not entirely true. Something within her, something buried deep in her genetic code, responded to the information being shared. Meridia's containment suit emits a series of rapid tones, her species equivalent of astonishment. "Ambassador, your brain patterns just synchronized with our quantum display matrix. That should be technologically impossible for a human." The Grand Arbiter Vox Full rises, crystalline form catching the light. This confirms the Sentinel prophecy. The great remembering has begun. Elena stares at her own hands as if seeing them for the first time. "What's happening to me?" "I believe," Meridia says quietly, "that what we are witnessing is the activation of those dormant genetic sequences. Ambassador Chen, you are changing before our eyes, becoming what your species was perhaps always meant to become." "And what is that exactly?" Elena asks, her voice barely audible. From the highest tier of the chamber, the ancient gaseous elder speaks, voice resonating with harmonics that seem to penetrate directly into Elena's consciousness. "The key to understanding why your kind casts shadows backward through time. The final piece in a puzzle spanning billions of years. These dream connections have grown exponentially stronger over the past 50 years. Telemar continues, their skin shifting to a contemplative blue-green, coinciding precisely with humanity's technological advancement and population growth. The holographic display expands to show Earth's collective dreamscape evolving through time. The connections between human minds growing more intricate and far-reaching with each passing decade. What you're describing sounds like Jung's collective unconscious, Elena says, finding her academic training a helpful anchor amid the staggering revelations. A shared reservoir of experiences and memories that connects all humans at a subconscious level. But he never suggested it could extend beyond our species. Telemar's skin pulses with amber highlights, indicating surprise or perhaps approval. Your Carl Jung came remarkably close to understanding something that should have been beyond his comprehension. We've studied his work extensively since discovering these cross-species dream connections. A new holographic projection appears, a three-dimensional representation of dream content shared across multiple species. At its center floats an unmistakable image. a double helix of DNA that spirals outward to become a galaxy. This symbol appears in the dreams of 17 different species across the galaxy, Telamar explains. Species with no contact, no shared cultural references, yet all report the same image accompanied by the same emotional response. Urgent anticipation. Elena feels her heart racing as she recognizes the symbol. "I've dreamed this," she whispers. Many times. The chamber grows utterly silent. Even the subtle hums and clicks of environmental suits seem to pause. "When did these dreams begin for you, Ambassador?" "Tell," Amar asks, their voice gentle but intense. "Since childhood," Elena admits. "I always thought they were inspired by science books I read as a girl, but they became more frequent after I was selected for the diplomatic mission." Telamar approaches Elena, stopping just short of the customary safety perimeter. "With your permission, Ambassador, I would like to try something. My species can form temporary psionic connections, a sharing of consciousness. It is possible that through you, we might better understand the human dreamscape." Several council members voice immediate objections, their translated protests overlapping in a cacophony of concern. "The risks are unacceptable. We have protocols against such direct contact. The human consciousness could be contagious." The Grand Arbiter Vox Thul silences them with a crystalline tone that resonates through the chamber. The decision rests with Ambassador Chen. Elena hesitates only briefly. "If it helps us understand what's happening, I consent." Telamar's iridescent skin ripples with patterns of concentration as they extend a slender hand toward Elena. "Please relax your mind, Ambassador. Think of your recurring dream." Elena closes her eyes, recalling the familiar spiral of DNA transforming into a galaxy. As Telamar's consciousness touches hers, the dream unfolds differently. The spiral continues transforming, becoming a tunnel of light through which human figures move in both directions. Some appear ancient, others futuristic, all connected by threads of blue energy that pulse like heartbeats. Telamar gasps and pulls away, their skin cycling rapidly through colors. Violet, crimson, gold, in patterns that Elena somehow knows indicate profound shock. "What did you see?" Elena asks, strangely calm despite the alien's obvious distress. "Not what," Telamar whispers, "but when." Their voice carries clearly through the silent chamber. "Ambassador, your dream isn't symbolic. It's a memory of something that hasn't happened yet." "Security Chief Drax," Elena says, finding her diplomatic voice despite the cascade of revelations. "You're suggesting that humans have been appearing throughout galactic history, yet we have no record or memory of these events. How do you explain this discrepancy?" The massive insectoid's compound eyes fix on Elena, each facet reflecting a slightly different angle of her face. "There are 3 possibilities, Ambassador. 1. Your civilization is being deliberately deceptive, which our monitoring suggests is unlikely. 2. Your historical records have been systematically altered or suppressed. 3. The humans who appeared throughout our history have not yet left your world to do so." The implications of the third option hang heavy in the chamber. Elena feels as though the floor beneath her might dissolve at any moment. "You're suggesting temporal displacement," she says slowly. "That future humans have somehow traveled backward through time, appearing throughout galactic history." The evidence supports this conclusion. Drax confirms, mandibles clicking in what Elena is beginning to recognize as a pattern indicating certainty. The technological sophistication of human appearances increases chronologically, despite occurring on worlds separated by vast distances with no communication between them. The security chief manipulates the holographic controls, displaying a timeline of incidents with images of the humans involved. Elena studies their faces, looking for any familiar features, any connection to known individuals on Earth. She finds none, yet something about them feels strangely familiar. This incident occurred on Proxima Centauri, approximately 320 standard years ago. Drax continues, highlighting a particular record. A human female, appeared during a religious ceremony, spoke briefly with their high priest, and disappeared. The priest recorded her exact words. When Earth joins the council, remember the broken archive. Everything depends on finding what was hidden. Alina feels a chill run through her body. The broken archive. What does that refer to? Before Drax can answer, a delegate from a crystalline species similar to the Grand Arbiter interjects. That information is classified under Council Directive 557. The human should not be told. Tension fills the chamber as various delegates argue amongst themselves, their translated voices overlapping in a cacophony of concern and disagreement. Alina notices that the debate seems to divide along evolutionary lines, species with similar biological origins taking similar positions. The Grand Arbiter Vox silences the chamber with a resonant tone. Security Chief Drax, continue your presentation. The classification has been temporarily suspended. Drax's massive form straightens in what Alina recognizes as the insectoid equivalent of a formal bow. As the Arbiter commands, the security chief turns back to Alina. Ambassador, we have documented multiple references to this broken archive throughout these temporal incidents. It appears to be a repository of information of vital importance to humanity's purpose. And where is this archive? Alina asks. Unknown, Drax admits, but the incidents provide fragmentary clues. They suggest it is hidden, where time folds back upon itself, and beneath the memory of stars. Alina feels a strange pressure building behind her eyes as Drax speaks these phrases. Images flash unbidden through her mind. A cavern deep beneath a mountain, walls inscribed with symbols that shift and change as she watches, a pedestal bearing a simple metallic cube. Ambassador, Drax inquires, noticing her distraction. Are you well? Alina blinks rapidly, the vision fading. I'm fine, she assures him, though the pressure remains. Please continue. There is one final incident I must share, Drax says, manipulating the controls once more. The most recent and perhaps most troubling of all. The metallic cube on the pedestal remains motionless after the holographic message ends, its surface reflecting the subdued lighting of the ancient chamber. Alina stares at it, feeling an inexplicable connection to the object and the fragmented message it contained. How many times have you played this message? She asks Vox, her voice barely above a whisper in the sacred space. The crystalline arbiter's form shifts in patterns that suggest contemplation. 27 times over 30,000 years, each time for a different council leader who needed to understand the gravity of the human question. Alina approaches the pedestal carefully, drawn by an impulse she cannot explain. May I touch it? That would be unprecedented, Vox responds, crystalline structure vibrating with concern. No non-council member has ever made physical contact with the artifact. Yet it responds to human proximity, Alina points out. It activated when I approached. Perhaps there's more it can tell us if I actually touch it. Vox considers this, light refracting through its body in complex patterns. The risk is significant. Previous analysis suggests the cube contains technology far beyond our understanding. We cannot predict how it might react to direct human contact. Alina looks directly into the faceted surface that serves as Vox's sensory apparatus. If what you've shown me is true, if humanity is caught in some temporal loop trying to prevent a universal catastrophe, then taking risks is exactly what we should be doing. After what seems an eternity, Vox inclines its crystalline form in what Alina has learned is a gesture of assent. Proceed, Ambassador, but know that I have activated emergency containment protocols. If anything unexpected occurs, this entire chamber will be quantum isolated from the rest of reality. Alina raises an eyebrow. You can do that. Let us hope we need not find out, Vox replies. Taking a deep breath, Alina extends her hand toward the cube. As her fingers near its surface, the air seems to thicken, as though reality itself resists what she is about to do. The cube begins to emit a soft blue glow that pulses in time with her heartbeat. The moment her fingertips touched the metallic surface, several things happened simultaneously. The cube rises from the pedestal, hovering at eye level. The glow intensifies, casting Voxful's crystalline form into rainbow refractions across the chamber walls. And most startlingly, Alina feels her consciousness expanding, connecting with minds across vast gulfs of space and time. For a moment that seems both instantaneous and eternal, she experiences fragments of countless human lives, some from Earth's past, others from its future, still others from what seem to be alternate versions of reality itself. Through it all runs a consistent thread, humans working desperately to solve some fundamental problem with the fabric of existence. When her awareness returns to the present, Alina finds herself still standing before the hovering cube, which has transformed. Its surface now displays intricate patterns that shift and flow like living things. "Are you unharmed, Ambassador?" Voxful asks, maintaining a cautious distance. "I'm fine," Alina replies, though fine seems woefully inadequate to describe her state. "But I understand now. Not everything, but enough." She turns to the ancient arbiter, her eyes reflecting the cube's blue glow. This isn't just a message container. It's a key to accessing the complete archive. "And where is this archive?" Voxful asks. Alina's response comes not from her diplomatic training or from any conscious thought, but from somewhere deeper, a place of knowing that has just awakened within her. It's inside us, inside every human being. Our DNA, our dreams, our collective consciousness. They're all fragments of the complete archive. This collaborative approach, Alina continues, her voice gaining strength as she outlines her proposal, would require unprecedented cooperation between humanity and the council races. We would need to share technologies, scientific methodologies, and cultural perspectives. The Proximan delegate's hydrogen-based form roils with visible agitation. "You ask us to risk everything on a theory. What tangible evidence do you have that humans are indeed the solution rather than the cause of whatever cosmic crisis may be approaching?" Alina considers this challenge carefully, aware that her response could determine humanity's future in the galactic community. She reaches into her pocket and withdraws the small metallic object that Voxthal had permitted her to take from the forbidden archives, a fragment that had broken off from the cube when she touched it. "This artifact predates life on Earth," she says, holding it up for all to see. Yet it responds only to human touch and contains messages from what appear to be future humans. "When I contacted it in the archives, I experienced something extraordinary, a connection to consciousness across time itself." She places the fragment on the display pedestal before her. It immediately begins to glow with the same blue light it had emitted in the archives. "What I glimpsed was fragmentary but clear. Humanity is attempting to solve a problem that affects all conscious life, a fundamental flaw in the cosmos that leads to premature entropy cascade. Each cycle of the universe ends too soon, and somehow humans from the end of time found a way to encode themselves into the beginning of the next cycle." The chamber falls silent as the council representatives contemplate her words. Alina continues, her conviction growing stronger with each sentence. "The evidence suggests we're not just evolved apes who happen to develop technology. We're something more, perhaps a self-correction mechanism the universe itself developed. Our consciousness, our dreams, our very DNA carry fragments of knowledge from previous cycles, knowledge we're only beginning to access." From the highest tier, the gaseous elder speaks, voice resonating through the chamber. "If what you suggest is true, why would this knowledge be fragmented? Why not simply encode the complete solution?" Perhaps the complete solution couldn't fit in a form that would survive the collapse and rebirth of the cosmos, Alina suggests, or perhaps fragmenting it was a security measure, ensuring that the knowledge would only be accessible when humanity reached a certain level of development and connection with the galactic community. The Grand Arbiter Voxthol's crystalline form refracts light in complex patterns as they consider Alina's words. "Your theory has merit, Ambassador, but how do you propose we proceed?" Alina draws a deep breath. First, we should establish a joint research initiative, combining your advanced technologies with human intuition and pattern recognition. We need to develop methods to safely access the information stored in human consciousness without causing harm. She gestures to Telemar. Your psionic specialists could help develop techniques to explore the human dreamscape more systematically. Meanwhile, your geneticists and our biologists could work together to decode the information hidden in our DNA. As she speaks, Alina becomes aware of a subtle shift in the chamber's atmosphere. The fear and tension that had permeated the council since her arrival begins to give way to something else, a cautious but growing sense of purpose and possibility. The universe has placed us all in this moment together, she concludes, meeting the gaze of as many representatives as she can, not as adversaries to be feared, but as partners in solving the greatest mystery of existence itself. The device at the center of the chamber pulses with energy that seems to both absorb and emit light simultaneously, creating a visual effect that no one present has words to describe. Alina stands before it, surrounded by representatives from every major galactic civilization, all united in this moment of cosmic significance. The calculations are complete, announces Dr. Takahashi, the quantum physicist who led the human scientific team. The consciousness resonance field is stable and ready for activation. Alina turns to address the assembled council. 6 months of unprecedented cooperation have led to this moment, a device built from the combined knowledge of humanity's awakened genetic memory and the advanced technology of 1,000 worlds. What we're about to attempt has never been done before, she says, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. We believe this device will synchronize conscious perception across all sentient species, allowing us to collectively access the complete archive embedded in human consciousness throughout time. The Grand Arbiter Voxthul steps forward, crystalline form glowing with internal light. The risks are considerable, Ambassador Chen. If your calculations are incorrect, the psychic backlash could damage the minds of billions across the galaxy. We've taken every possible precaution, Alina assures the Arbiter. The initial field will encompass only those present in this chamber, volunteers who understand the risks. If successful, we can gradually expand its reach. Tel Amar, whose psionic expertise proved invaluable in designing the device, approaches Alina. Their iridescent skin now displays patterns remarkably similar to human neural networks. Are you certain you wish to be the focal point? They ask, concern evident in their harmonics. The strain on your consciousness will be immense. Alina nods. The cube from the archives responded specifically to my touch. Whatever connection I have to this cosmic mystery makes me the logical choice. She turns to address the assembled representatives one final time. Throughout these months of collaboration, we've discovered that the universe is indeed caught in a time loop, a cycle of creation and destruction that occurs prematurely due to a fundamental flaw in the fabric of existence. In the final moments of the previous cycle, future humanity discovered a theoretical solution, but lacked the means to implement it fully. Alina gestures to the device. This is not merely about saving humanity or even this cycle of the universe. It's about breaking the loop entirely, allowing existence itself to follow its natural course without premature collapse. With a deep breath, Alina places her hands on the control surfaces of the device. It responds immediately, the energy field surrounding it intensifying. A gentle hum fills the chamber, resonating at a frequency that seems to bypass the ears and vibrate directly within the mind. As the field expands, Alina feels her consciousness stretching beyond the confines of her physical form. She perceives the minds of everyone in the chamber, not as thoughts or words, but as patterns of light and meaning that transcend language. Beyond them, she senses minds across Earth and distant worlds, all connected in this moment of shared perception. Then the barriers of time begin to dissolve. She perceives the past, not as memory, but as immediate experience. She witnesses the birth of stars, the formation of planets, the first stirrings of life across countless worlds. The future unfolds simultaneously, possible timelines branching and converging like rivers of light. And through it all, she perceives humanity's true nature, not merely evolved primates, but consciousness itself finding a way to survive the death of one universe and seed itself into the next, carrying the knowledge needed to eventually break the cycle entirely.